We're here, it's day 4 of the IEC General Meeting, and today is Net Zero Day. We're talking about the role that standards will play to help drive a net zero future. And we're launching a white paper that BSI has written with the Royal Society of Edinburgh, which is talking about the way that quality infrastructure will help to deliver net zero. Let's take a look at what happened.
When the idea came about that we would be hosting this International Electrotechnical Commission meeting in Edinburgh some 2.5 years ago, we started the planning. We really wanted to engage with the local community, the professional community, the Royal Society of Edinburgh in particular, the academic community, Edinburgh, Strathclyde, Heriot-Watt, Glasgow and others, and the general public, you, to help us to explore from an external perspective our role in accelerating the journey to net zero.
That to build a city is fundamentally to build a cohesive, interconnected community. And that is at the centre of who we are and everything we do as humans.
We identified the current contributions of national quality infrastructure, either in supporting innovation and achieving net zero, or in creating barriers to these outcomes.
Leading companies have, generally speaking, a complete full approach on that is mostly based on 3 pillars. The first main pillar is what we called strategize. It means you establish clear sustainability targets. And the second pillar is what we called digitize. It means first you measure your energy consumption and your emissions, and based on that you identify opportunities of savings, and therefore you can measure the progress and benchmark. And the third pillar is what we called decarbonize. It means to replace energy sources, to electrify operations, and then to reduce emissions and waste.
Whilst this transition has been going on for a few years, I feel like recently it's really started to pick up the pace more and gather momentum. There's funding available, obviously, from governments. However, in the line of work that I do, most people I speak to aren't aware of that. They don't know how to access it. They're not sure of the steps to take to try and acquire that funding, which is where we come in. We're also looking at putting in performance-based contracts with the technology that we implement, meaning that there's no initial upfront cost, no big capital expenditure for our customers initially, and then we potentially take payment from the savings of that.
I think my generation has a lot of fresh looks and fresh perspectives, and they have the urgency of knowing that it's our future, that it's already been impacting our future since we were kids, and so they have a lot of urgency and ideas and innovations that they're willing to put forward, and so I think they'll be really impactful in the momentum that's currently happening to make all the changes that we require for net zero.
I think the collaboration is essential. No singular group, whether it be government or industry or academia, can deliver net zero on their own. And I think part of that issue or benefit of everyone coming together is the opportunity of collaboration. And you bring the policy and the regulation and the standards with the industry's innovation, with the independence of academia to test and assess, then there's the opportunity to deliver at pace.
What is it what we're trying to achieve here with that infrastructure? It's to support economic growth, number one. Second, to support fair trade. And third, to ensure safety and sustainability on everything we do. And that is such a powerful mission we have.
The vital issue within where all voices are heard is bridging and levelling technical divides, ensuring that as we forge bilateral and multilateral networks, raising capacities and capabilities, developing key sectors, key nations, and where there are often underrepresented voices within our communities.
All rules involve the exercise of discretion to be applied. You can never apply it 100% mechanically. Rules you need to exercise discretion. And she also writes a lot about why some rules stick and some rules fail. And she argues that the rules that hold are rules that are informed by social norms.
These are only direct costs. These are only costs which are paid to the wind farms. Obviously, there's other costs because all the energy is not generated. We need to generate it in other ways, usually more polluting ways. So the costs are massive, so a better system integration can help us gets this right.
We have customers with a global footprint, and net zero is a global issue. It makes sense to me personally to use global standards to give a bit of support and a bit of help to people that need it. I think the standards offer a fantastic framework for the consultancy side of the business. I work for a digital enterprise team. Any digital intervention will fail unless you understand where you're trying to go, what the outcome is, where you are right now, and how do you get there, what resource do you have available. So using standards and aligning those to our technical capabilities is pivotal, I think.
There are 5 main decisions that companies, organizations must take toward a net zero transition. The first main decision will be that you establish clear targets against sustainability and that you embed those targets in the core strategy of the organization. The second main decision to take is to lead innovation on green technologies to reduce environmental impact. The third key decision is, to have a sustainable supply chain. It means to partner with, eco-conscious and ethical partners. The fourth decision would be that you adopt resource efficiency and circular economy best practices for reducing waste. And finally, to foster a sustainability, a mindset within the organization and to get a full transparent communication.
Well, we heard today at the conference one of the huge opportunities of the decentralization of the electricity grid and how energy is generated. And that's probably one of the greatest challenges facing many cities is the different types of energy generation that will be required, the locations, is there space there? And also we need to take communities with us. We can deliver all the technical solutions, but without society and the community's agreement and participation, then it's going to be a more tough journey for our cities, and particularly for high-density urban cities.
In many parts of the world, access to reliable energy is simply not an option. But even in developed economies, as you have seen in the last 2 years, the price has been multiplied by perhaps 25 times for the gas over the last 2 years. And it shows how fragile our addiction to the fossil fuels is.
This race to net zero is something we're trying to achieve over the next 25 years. This is really, really a big contribution to society. And if this generation of people can help us to achieve that, then I think that's a fantastic achievement that we could all be very, very proud of.
A year ago, my life changed. Because a year ago, I became a grandfather. And becoming a grandfather meant that the being a serial entrepreneur and an investor and measuring success in terms of commercial value seemed to matter a lot less. It seemed to matter a lot less in comparison to what's it going to be like in 10 years' time when I'm sitting down with my granddaughter and she looks me in the eye and she says, "Our planet's dying. What did you do?"
Because it provides clear guidelines, common metrics in order to reduce emissions. It provides accountability among the different stakeholders. It fosters innovation and collaboration, and this really helps organizations to, adopt best practices on sustainability more effectively.
This conference was very informative for me, talking about standards and how they actually impact and influence the direction of many of these industries. So I think attending conferences like this can give you a lot of insight from industry experts, as well as academics and policymakers and all sorts of experts in their fields, and they bring forth their knowledge and it's given in one place. So it was very useful to see exactly the role that standards take from people within the industry and how it's actually impacting the real world.
Well, I hope they see the challenge and the opportunity that's coming ahead. I think the other thing that was very useful today is to hear the sort of different sinews of different information that have been coming through and where policies and standards could make a difference. And policies and standards can bring us together into a collective voice and a collective framework. And that, for me, probably is one of the most important things from today. It's not just about innovation, it's not just about that societal agreement. It's everyone working together with common standards, common framework, common approach, which reduces barriers and helps everyone move, whether it's this country or internationally, at a similar pace, which is very exciting.
I just want to thank you all for participating in today's Net Zero Showcase, and it's been quite an inspiring and thought-provoking day filled with numerous insights across the spectrum. Once again, to thank you all for your participation today, and I really hope that you, with us, take forward the momentum from today's discussions and that we are able to turn it into meaningful action. So thank you very much.